USPS, your mail has been delivered. So I showed them the camera footage. I've been waiting for that package for weeks. Living in Minneapolis during winter means you rely on deliveries more than usual. Nobody wants to brave the icy roads and sub-zero temperatures if they can avoid it. This wasn't just any package either. Inside was a vintage watch that had belonged to my grandfather, shipped from my aunt in Arizona after we'd reconnected at a family reunion last month. The tracking showed it was out for delivery that morning. I kept refreshing the USPS app between Zoom meetings, watching as other deliveries in my neighborhood were marked as completed. Finally, at 3:42 p.m., the notification lit up my phone. Your mail has been delivered. I grabbed my coat and headed outside immediately. The temperature had dropped to 15 below, and the wind cut through my layers like they were nothing. I trudged through the snow to my mailbox, but found it empty. I checked around the porch, behind the planters, even in the bushes where packages sometimes ended up. Nothing. I pulled out my phone and checked the delivery confirmation again. There it was, delivered, front door/porch. But there was no package anywhere. That's when I remembered the security camera I'd installed last fall after a string of porch thefts in the neighborhood. Back inside, I pulled up the footage from the past hour. I watched as the USPS truck pulled up around 3:38 p.m. The mail carrier stepped out, grabbed what looked like my package, walked toward my house, then suddenly turned toward Lake Harriet, which borders my property. Without hesitation, he tossed the package into an unfrozen section of the lake. He then pulled out his scanner, marked something, and walked back to his truck. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I replayed the footage 3 times, each viewing making my blood boil more than the last. The deliberate way he'd changed course, the casual toss, the immediate scanning. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. The next morning, I walked into the local post office clutching my phone with the video evidence. The lobby was crowded with the usual mix of people mailing packages and checking P.O. boxes. I waited in line, rehearsing what I would say, trying to keep my anger in check. "Next customer, please," called the clerk. A woman with tired eyes and graying hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Yesterday, your delivery person marked my package as delivered, but instead threw it into Lake Harriet," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "I have video evidence." Her expression shifted from customer service politeness to concerned disbelief. "That's a serious accusation. Let me get my supervisor." Minutes later, a tall man in a USPS-branded polo introduced himself as Marcus, the station manager. He led me to a small office in the back, away from the curious eyes of other customers. "Can I see this video?" he asked, his tone professional but skeptical. I handed him my phone and watched his face as the footage played. His expression transformed from doubt to shock to something resembling anger. "That's Dennis," he muttered almost to himself. I've never seen anything like this." "Well, I need my package," I said. "It contained a family heirloom that can't be replaced." Marcus looked genuinely distressed. "Of course, this is completely unacceptable. I'll need to file a formal complaint and begin an investigation immediately. Can you forward me this video?" I sent him the footage while sitting there, making sure it went through. "What about my package?" I pressed. "We'll send someone to try to retrieve it today," he promised, though we both knew what sitting in a frozen lake overnight meant for the contents. "I'm truly sorry this happened." That afternoon, I received a call from Marcus. "We're sending a recovery team to your property in an hour. Would you be able to meet them and show them exactly where the package was thrown?" When I arrived home, 2 USPS employees in heavy winter gear were waiting with what looked like fishing equipment and a small inflatable boat. Marcus was there too, supervising. "The ice isn't thick enough near the shore to walk on, but we can't leave a package in the lake," he explained. Environmental concerns aside, what Dennis did was against every protocol we have. I led them to the spot visible in my security footage. One of the workers carefully navigated the small boat to the edge of the ice, while the other used a long pole with a hook to probe the water. After nearly 40 minutes of searching, they spotted it. The package was partially visible, having become wedged against some rocks rather than sinking completely. With careful maneuvering, they managed to hook it and slowly drag it back to shore. The cardboard was completely soaked through, falling apart as they lifted it. Inside, protected by layers of bubble wrap that had thankfully created some insulation, was a smaller box containing my grandfather's watch. Water had seeped in, and I could see condensation inside the watch face. My heart sank. "I'm so sorry," Marcus said, standing beside me as I examined the damage. "The Postal Service will fully compensate you for the value, though I understand that doesn't replace the sentimental worth." I nodded silently, watching as small droplets of lake water dripped from the hands of the watch that had kept perfect time for over 70 years. 2 days later, I received an official call from the USPS regional director. Dennis had been terminated immediately. The investigation revealed he had been throwing packages into various bodies of water for months, always ones he deemed too difficult to deliver due to snow, distance from the road, or other factors he found inconvenient. We identified 17 other potential victims based on his routes and delivery records. The director explained, "We're reaching out to all of them. This behavior is not just against our policies. It's potentially criminal." As for my grandfather's watch, I took it to 3 different jewelers. The first 2 said the water damage was too extensive, that the mechanics were corroded beyond repair. The third, an older man with workshops in the back of his small shop, disagreed. "It'll take time," he warned, "and it won't be cheap, but this was quality craftsmanship back when they built things to last. I can restore it." 6 weeks later, I returned to his shop. He presented me with my grandfather's watch, restored to its former glory. It wasn't perfect. There was a slight discoloration on the face that couldn't be removed, but it was ticking with the same steady rhythm it had maintained throughout my grandfather's life. That small imperfection became something more to me than damage. It was now part of the watch's story, part of my story, a reminder that some things once thought lost can be recovered. Not always without scars, but sometimes those scars add character, become testament to resilience. I wear the watch every day now. Occasionally, I'll glance at Lake Harriet while driving past and think about how close I came to losing this connection to my past. Sometimes I wonder about Dennis, what would drive someone to such casual cruelty. But mostly, I think about the people who helped make things right. Marcus with his immediate action, the recovery team who spent hours in the bitter cold, and the jeweler who saw possibility where others saw only damage. The watch keeps perfect time again, and when people ask about the slight discoloration on its face, I have quite a story to tell them.